What a day.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
Scariest storm though. That was really wild.
Yeah,
Ah, figure out where the dogs were going crazy.
it's been some interesting weather I've heard from people over there that I've talked to this last week. It's just been storm after storm.
Yeah, it really has.
All right, well, I will start with our introduction. Welcome, everybody, to Cancer Conversations and Choices with myself, Marinette Smith, Deborah Hernke, and Maya Samant. And we are here as holistic cancer coaches. Um, I'm a registered nurse, and Deb and Maya are also nutritionists, functional nutritionists as well. So tonight we're going to be talking about supplements. Um, we're going to be discussing all sorts of things that you probably wouldn't normally hear. So this is going to be a really good conversation. We're really excited to be able to share this with you. But just for a disclaimer, just know that any information that you hear on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It's not meant to replace any medical advice. It's not meant to be for any medical advice. We advise that anything that you decide to choose to do to change or implement into your lifestyle or your life, you discuss with your healthcare professional and make sure that it's right and it's safe for you. Um, and anything that you do take from this information, it is solely on yourself. So we'll get started with that. Uh, let's see here. So supplements. This has just been a hot topic lately because if you see anything online, they're just everywhere all the time. It's like there's a new product coming up, there's a new supplement coming out. Everybody claims it's the greatest and best thing, but really, are they good for you? Are they beneficial? Are there maybe some drawbacks that we need to pay attention to? Are there special considerations that you need to take into concern for yourself? And we're going to discuss some of that tonight. So, Deb, do you have anything to get started?
I do, as a matter of fact, and okay, let's put it this way. I did up until I just lost it. But I do have some stuff that I would like to start with. And I'm gonna just kind of read a little bit here, a little bit about supplements in general and stuff. So basically, it's from an article that says, the truth about supplements, timing, pairing, and usage really make, things that you didn't know, but things that make it really, really important for you. So it's not just about just taking a supplement and calling it good, but truly it's about the timing of when you do take a supplement, what you compare it with, and then the usage of it, what you're actually using it for.
Mhm.
Um, so whether you reach for a multivitamin, with your morning coffee, or pop an iron pill after lunch, chances are you put more effort into remembering to take your supplement than considering really when and how you should take them. Right. So basically, experts are agreeing that the timing and pairing and the usage of your supplements are extremely important, and in some cases, really for your own safety. So from really, so one of the things we'll be talking about too is the colorful pills that you can take to the gummies and multivitamins. The supplement industry is really booming, right? So, but there's kind of a catch with it, that even the most consistent supplement takers might be getting it all wrong.
Oh,
And what we mean by that is that not because they're skipping doses, but because they're taking them at the wrong time, with the wrong foods, even because that can take you can have a sort of a, I want to say, an adverse effect with those supplements if you're taking them with the wrong foods, and then the wrong combinations as well.
yes.
So that's something we'll take a look at as well. Uh, but again, supplements are not exactly the magic bullet. They're a concentrated form of vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients designed really to fill a dietary need or gap, unlike food, right? So
Yes.
again, one of the things that we really want to stress is that food is medicine, and it really can. But food is also, that's where you're going to get that's where you get your most natural nutrients. One of the things, I think we had a conversation the other day with a client that, supplements are great, but supplements are not, they're synthetics.
Yes.
Supplements is not really meant to replace the best nutrients that you can get from the foods that you can eat.
Absolutely. Well, you
Um,
made a really good point too. Just really quick, I just want to interject is I mean, we really should be getting a lot of this nutrition from our food, right? Like that's
exactly.
where we
Yeah.
really should be concentrating on because your whole foods, and not food items, but whole foods that you find in nature
Hmm.
have tons of nutrition that are bio more bioavailable to your body than there would be for you to take a certain supplement. So you can even take a supplement and it's not even going to absorb very well in your body. And you might even just be wasting it. Whereas if you just were able to consume that in food form, your body's going to be able to use that along with whatever other nutrients are together with it. So then
Hmm.
they synergistically work together, and then you get the added benefit of everything instead of just that one isolated. And maybe you needed something else to be able to make that work, which I guess good examples are like vitamin D and vitamin K. Um,
Yes.
yeah, taking
Yeah.
vitamin D with a vitamin K, or otherwise your absorption levels are not going to be very good. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, but also making sure that you're getting out in the sun as much as possible. So I think that's where we kind of need to think and remember about that is it is for supplementation. Should it be used long term? I don't know.
Right.
Is it short
Well,
term?
yeah. Well, exactly. That's one of the the things also when you're talking about pairings. Those
Yeah.
pairings can actually as one can act as a carrier for the other one, and what does that mean exactly? As well, one can help deliver those other nutrients into the cells that really need to get in there. And sometimes, like for example, calcium and magnesium, you'd want to take those together as a good pairing, and they just increase the efficacy of each of each one, for lack of a better word. So, and there's some great sites that you can go to when researching some of those pairings and stuff. Calcium, like you said, vitamin D, catechins, and vitamin C. Calcium and magnesium, vitamin B12 and folate, zinc and copper. Vitamin C and iron. All of those that are act as carriers that really help one another, and working together with that is really really good. So
Well, that was really good. Like you brought up some that actually I didn't realize that you had to take together. So there was copper and which one together?
copper and zinc.
Oh, copper and zinc. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
zinc and
Yep.
copper, take those together, and that seems that's they work together. So again, there's the synergy in between those, and it really does make a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the
Well,
efficacy of
and if you
everything.
think about it, like how many zinc supplements do you actually see with copper in them?
Not very many.
Yeah.
Not very many. Not very many. I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't think I've ever, you know, um, I don't think I've ever seen anybody ask for I need the copper. Where's your copper at?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just have not seen that. But anyway, yeah, zinc and copper. So that's another really really good one um, to to put together to pair together with, and vitamin D and omega 3s. That's another one. I'm sorry, I have three screens going here, so they're all kind of popping off doing different things. I'm like, okay. So if I seem a little distracted, that's why, and I apologize. But I just
Oh,
don't want to
Okay.
things for coming up here and
oh, you're doing fabulous. You're doing fabulous. I mean, I just didn't even realize that some of those that I mean, like, and I'm a trained nurse, so this is like interesting. I mean, this is not something that we really touch on a lot in school is the nutrition factor of things and our body and how our body uses them and where it uses them and how it uses them. And then, there we could get into
yeah.
all sorts of details that we even talk about amongst ourselves that you have to be careful
Hmm.
for because of your certain genetic makeup. Um, and so I think, I mean, we got to remember all those things that play into each other when we are taking something that's outside of a food
Right.
form.
Right, exactly. And some of we can talk about some of the common mistakes that people make, in
Hmm.
regards to that. Some of the common mistakes that people make is taking all your supplements at once. I mean, how many times I've done this many times, and you think I'd learn the first or second or 14th time, is taking all your supplements at once. I mean, I don't know how many times I've just felt so ill right after taking your supplements, and you figure, I'm like, oh, it's just a bad day, I need to stay home, I can't go to work, I can't do this. Well, hello. Your supplements are going, yeah, yeah, they wreak havoc on the body,
Uh-huh.
and it's tempting, to swallow a handful of pills, the first thing in the morning and be done with it. And then, some, it's like, okay. And then you realize, wow, I'll just drink it with my coffee and I haven't had breakfast. That's always a great combination. And you kind
Okay,
of pay for it
guilty.
after.
You're guilty
Okay.
too. Guilty.
you know,
Yeah.
so that's always kind of tough to do. And yeah, and then obviously some of them, they don't play well together at all. For example, like calcium and iron compete for absorption and should be taken at different times. So you want to, it's again another, one of those synergistic things that you want to avoid. And similarly, high dose vitamin C in general as well can interfere with B12 absorption.
Mhm.
And magnesium can block calcium uptake if consumed really together and in large amounts. So that's another thing to be aware of and use caution for.
Those are
Welcome.
excellent points. Yeah, welcome, Maya.
Finally, I made it.
Technical difficulties.
I had a technical difficulties today. Yes.
Oh,
I don't know why Restream would not allow me to connect to the call.
Oh.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyhow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you with us tonight.
Yeah.
And if it's any consolation, it was allowing me to show up about 14 times. So I finally got us down to one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy.
That's so true.
Oh, kind of nuts. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
You bring a really good point up though, Deb, and I was sitting here thinking as, you're taking your supplements and knowing when you should be separating them out and how far you should be separating them out. There's certain herbs I can think of off the top of my head that you really need to have even 4 hours in between before you take anything else or even take another one of the other same ones. So making sure that you know the frequency of when you're supposed to be taking them is extremely important as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's and there's a reason why, if you're in the hospital or you have that medication or whatever it is that you're taking, at that point, why they have them so many only take this, every 8 hours, every however many hours, and there's a reason for all of that because just for the same reasons we're talking about here, the impacts that it can have on your system and how it plays, with other drugs. And so vitamins and or supplements are no different at all. So yeah. So again, so on that note too, it's another common mistake about taking supplements is overlapping and double dosing. Kind of along the same lines of just taking them all at once. You're going to you're going to have kind of the same effects. And it's easy to accidentally exceed the recommended daily allowances, of course, of those doses and stuff, and for certain nutrients. But overdosing on vitamins like A, D, and iron. And I don't bring up iron because I kind of don't talk about that one a whole lot, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I myself, I don't think I bring that up very much, but they can have serious health consequences when you're overlapping them and taking too much of them.
Yes.
So again, always check on how mindful of what your multivitamins are, how much is in there, and then if but always kind of individual supplements and fortified foods. Make sure that you're not taking too much of those. You may think, oh, I'm gonna build up on my iron and that kind of thing, but just be really careful because it could be harmful. So just read up and do due diligence on those.
Yeah, too much of a good thing is not a good thing, right?
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
That is so true.
Well, and I was sitting here thinking too, like, you really should check your levels, especially the vitamin D levels, vitamin A levels. If you are supplementing those, making sure that you're at a decent level, but you're supplementing to get to the therapeutic level that you're looking for, but you're also working with somebody to make sure that you're not overdoing it because that can cause other issues too. Like you said.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. If you're not sure, and even if you are sure, definitely check your levels and make sure you are working with somebody because again, supplements are something that can be harmful. People think, oh, I'll just, and everybody seems to ask anymore too is, when at different doctor's appointments or even kind of a wellness spa or that kind of thing. are you taking any supplements? You know, and it's really important actually to let them know, because you have no idea what, you know, what the implications could be if they're performing or if they're using something on you, or they're going to provide something for you or something to drink afterwards, that kind of thing. Anything of how that can have some sort of contraindication of the supplements that you're taking. So it's really important to let people know. It's just as important as if you're taking you know, medicine of
Medicine.
some sort that was prescribed to you as well. So yeah, make sure that you are being followed up on, and do your due diligence with that. So always err on the side of caution, of course, too. And then, you know, we had just talked about substituting, using supplements as a substitute for food. I was like waiting for you to
Yeah,
go. Yeah,
yeah,
Real
you
quick,
know.
I just want to touch on the fact of, you know, there's in the cancer world, that's something that's holistic cancer world. This is something that's a high sought after topic. What can I take to be able to help get this to go away? What can I take for it? Does it come back?
yeah,
And I really think that looking in depth about what you're doing your research, like Maya likes to say, and Deb like to say, you do your research. What are you
yeah.
taking? Why are you taking it? Is it safe for you to take it? But knowing that some of those plants as medicine can, and the supplements can either affect certain medications that you're taking for cancer, they can either make it work better or it could actually make it so it's not working as well. So knowing that those things are in place and knowing to pay attention to them is super important.
Yeah, I actually, this is so interesting because I get asked question, what kind of supplement should I start taking? I get asked that question more than I get asked question, should I change my diet or not? What kind of food? Yes,
Yeah.
because people
Yeah.
think like there's some magic supplement or some magic, pill out there that would reverse their condition, and that's it. And they have to take that supplement.
Right.
But the problem is it's not the supplement. Number one, the supplements could backfire. People don't understand. They're still drugs. They're safer drugs, but they're still drugs, and they could backfire. And what exactly are we taking them for? Especially ones like we think about, like you spoke about D3, magnesium, certain things. Like people show a low level of D3, and then they would take 5,000 like I use or whatever, or 10,000, and then like I experienced that a lot. And then in a couple of months, they come back with the test, I mean, the D levels being like 290s or even over 100. So now the question is, I don't think so. The dosage that they're taking is too high at 5,000 IUs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the question is, does your body even breaking down that D3? Maybe it's circulating in your bloodstream. That's why the levels are high, but your cells are still depleted in D3. There's a, because from supplement 5,000, I mean, like your levels cannot jump up so high at some point. So there's a lot of underlying like conditions could determine like whether people are breaking down the supplement they're on. And then each capsule we're taking in, we don't even know how that capsule is affecting our body, because every capsule made out of something. And we never, as a humans, have ever taken 20, 30 supplements, those capsules, every single day or sometimes multiple times a day. We don't even know, because the supplement world is new to our body and to our genes. We don't even know those capsules, how are they affecting our body? We have no idea. And then when we introduce supplements, do we know what happens to our body because our body makes those minerals, vitamins, and minerals naturally from food we eat, right? So when we take supplements, number one, we don't know the pathway of those supplements. Are they going through the same pathways? And then number two, are we depleting our body its own ability to isolate those minerals and nutrients from the food we eat? Do we even know that? Therefore, like I mean, like, therefore, I have not seen a person that would come taking a lot of supplements and getting their health levels to the level they want to go to, they want to be at. I never seen. So they temporarily might get better, but down the road they still have that underlying cause. You
Mhm.
know, it's the same thing as the drugs. Like if you're not addressing root cause, you can take a lot of drugs and you're not gonna go there. And same thing with a supplement. You can take tons of supplement, but if you're not addressing root cause, where those supplements are gonna take you.
Yeah.
That question always circulates in my brain. You know, people saying taking high dose of this, therapeutic dose of that, which I'm not saying you should not. And there was a moments when I was taking them, but that doesn't mean you have to take them all together all the time. You know, and the people so obsessed, they're afraid to stop taking their supplements at some point. They think they're gonna get sick or something. Maybe temporary, yes, because their body's ability to isolate those things, because body would always balance internally everything. If something is elevated, it's gonna bring it down. So when we take those supplements, how do we know? Like, what are we losing?
Mm.
Same thing as antioxidants. You know, my biggest favorite thing is like a glutathione. People are so obsessed with glutathione,
Mhm.
especially
Mhm.
when it comes to cancer, because it's a main antioxidant of our body. But people have no idea that glutathione can backfire big time. You know, big time.
Well, and just that's what a supplement is. Just what it says. It's a supplement. It's supposed to supplement our nutrients. It's supposed to supplement. They're intended to complement, not replace, a
Yeah.
healthy diet. And
Yeah.
we've gotten into that, where we've gotten into just replacing. We've replaced food with these supplements, and
Yeah.
that's not what the intent was. But I think it's kind of indicative of our fast-paced society and how we live today. Is
Yeah.
everything is like, well, I don't have time to fix dinner. I don't have
Yeah.
time. So I
Yes.
think I'm
Or
just going to grab this. I think I'm just going to grab this burger. I think I'm just going to, and it's so cyclic, that
Well,
we get into that mode, and we don't, and then we've gotten so far into it, we don't even know how to get out of it anymore, but yeah,
that's the
definitely. I
biggest
mean,
issue. Yeah, that's a biggest issue, especially megadosing with certain things. We forgot that our body is not going to take anything extra ever
oh
than it
yeah,
needs,
right.
that it needs. It would take that level of whatever it needs, and the rest is going to convert into something inside the body. Body will
Mhm.
try to get rid of it. Same thing is like same with glutathione, because glutathione, people think, oh, it's a main antioxidant and we need to take it, especially when you sing. But people forget that glutathione has a precursors that makes glutathione in the body.
Mhm.
So what does happen to those precursors when you introduce glutathione from outside? You know, from
Mhm. Mhm.
exogenously, right? What happens to those, like those cysteine, glycine, and I think glutamate. I think glutamine or glutamate. Yeah,
Mhm.
the third, like amino acid. What happens to them? The cysteine actually converts into the toxic compound and causes more toxicity in the body. And so we never question that. We just hear companies are trying to sell their stuff. That's
Yes.
all we have to be aware. What's inside the supplements? We have no idea what they're made of. Do they contain lead? Do they contain mercury? Do they contain, where are those sources are even coming from?
Yes. Yeah,
You
if there's
know,
any other toxins even in them, and are they even
exactly.
being tested
Yeah,
correctly by
Mhm.
third-party testing?
right,
Yeah.
right. Where are
Yep.
they third party tested? There's so many supplements like has been tested containing lead, mercury, and other things.
Mhm.
So, and the whole bottom line is like our body, our past like what 60 years, 50, 60 years, that the supplement became basically substitute for everything in our life, for
Mhm.
food, for everything.
Yeah.
Even though people do eat food, they still can take supplement. They think it's going to save them from something. I don't
Well,
know.
and I think that that's a really good point because we have gotten into such a rut with the way that we eat. Our diets are just a mess.
Our
They're just a
diet is
hot
a
mess.
mess. Yeah.
And if you really think about it, how much whole food, real food are you actually eating in a day? I know if I go
Mhm.
back and look for myself, and you guys probably agree before, like you had cancer,
Right.
you like go back and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ate all that all the time. Like I remember even eating Velveeta and then trying to take supplements on top of it. It's not going to do anything for
It's not
you.
gonna
I
do
mean,
anything.
you're still
Yes.
eating the Velveeta.
Yeah.
It's still like not, it's like putting a Band-Aid on something, but not really. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's still going to
Yeah.
fall off and cause problems.
Yeah.
So you really do, like you said, you have to address your root cause. Okay, what's the root cause? A lot of it is our diet.
It's
Some of
our
it's the
diet.
toxins that we're exposed to. Some of it's the
Lifestyle, toxic.
medications.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. A lot. And that's what that's what whole things like we see advertisement on supplements everywhere.
Mhm.
Substitution for everything. We're substituting red light therapy for sunlight, morning sunlight. We're substituting vitamin D from sun with supplementing vitamin D without even understanding that it's not even a real vitamin D. It's cholecalciferol. As far as I know, it's actually a rat poisoning at some point. They do give a small doses to rats to poison them. But and for I'm not saying we don't need them. They do save lives. They help people, but at what level do you take them? And where are you getting your sources from? That's to me like I think the question always like circling in my mind. Like, okay, I need because I hear them. I'm a human being like everyone. So when I hear something, I'm like, oh, I gotta get that. But then I ask myself question, why do I have to get that? Why can't I get this from food? So even like when Hippocrates said, may food be your medicine and thigh be your food. I mean, a medicine be your food. So we forgot that. But I mean, we remember that. We do change, like a lot of people do change their diet, but they cannot let go of supplements. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest issue, I think. People's trust and it's like, they're afraid to let go of those supplements. Unless you have a genetic issue, like, gene mutation, certain things like in your body, let's say your body cannot, methylate D or B or B12 or whatever. That's a different story, right? But if you don't have any genetic mutation, how do you know those supplements are the sources that you need? Especially when it comes to cancer. How do you know they're not going to harm your body? Instead of like glutathione could could help cancer grow. If you if you overdo it, and if you're not going to do it the right way with the glutathione, for example. Vitamin A is completely prohibited to take when you have a cancer from it's like, but it causes more toxicity than anything else. Iron, I never recommend anything with iron to take unless you get it from the food source. That's all. Because iron is the type of iron that in the supplements you can when it comes to cancer, you're just gonna promote cancer growth. So there is a lot we have to pay attention and not to be obsessed with supplementing. NAC is another one. People are like, oh my gosh, I gotta take NAC. Yeah, temporary when you have a, flu, cold, or, congested, lungs are congested. Yeah, you can take it for a week or so, 10 days, but continuous taking NAC, you're gonna cause toxicity in your body.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of, okay, so ashwagandha, I mean, and we all know because we talk about these and a lot of us use them. But ashwagandha is another example. Right now, it's very, very big. I mean, it has amazing, tremendous benefits, especially if you do need it. If you are a highly stressed person and you're dealing with anxiety, it's probably a safer option than taking a pharmaceutical. But people don't know that you're supposed to only take it for like 12 weeks max at a time because it can affect your liver and you need to take 3 weeks off. Like this is like one good example. I know certain people or I know of certain situations where people take it on a daily basis. Well, the other thing is too, what if you have something else going on that's causing issues with your liver? What if you have fatty liver disease? What if you have a genetic condition that affects your liver? So really doing a deep dive on your supplements, how you're taking them, why you're taking them, and again, like the frequency, and then what toxicities can actually occur if you aren't careful with them.
And that's huge, Marinette, because a lot of people don't know that with ashwagandha. And it's in a lot of supplements right now. And, I've had a lot of people say, well, I don't know how come, I feel this way or this is happening. And I've heard people say, well, just take half of it. Just take half of it. I'm like, well, you need to find out why it's actually affecting you the way it is. And so I think black pepper is a good substitute for ashwagandha. I'd have to
it
research that
depends.
some more.
Yeah. It depends. Yeah.
Almost
it depends.
a better a better
Yeah.
substitute than ashwagandha
Right.
itself. For
Probably, for example, my kids cannot take anything with black pepper. It backfires them. So, and ashwagandha, actually, just recently, a few weeks ago, I read an article that just came in from Denmark. The observational not survey, the study they have done on people who have been taking ashwagandha long term, they're actually having hormonal issues. It's affect the hormones.
Mm.
So in Denmark, they're actually thinking taking off the ashwagandha off of market because of the damage to the endocrine system. So I should go follow up and read on that because, as I said, the supplement world is 50, 60 years. But then now people taking them long, we start seeing the results of the things that we're taking without realizing at the time when we take them, like what's the effect of those on our body.
Yes.
And the herbs, I mean, like the plants and herbs meant to be our medicine, but they weren't meant to be taken every single day. When you need them, you can take them, yes, for sure, but doesn't mean you have to do it every single day. That's what my understanding. When I stopped taking a lot of supplement, there's just a few I follow, then I felt better in so many ways when I start getting my nutrition from food, like chewing your food, like eating right, don't overdo it and stuff. I mean, I feel much better than when I was taking 20, 30 supplements. It doesn't mean that I don't have supplements in my house. No, I do have tons, but I take it when I need it.
Yes.
I don't take it if I don't need it. So that's the whole thing about supplements. We have to talk. Just because company is promoting, they're going to sell their products. They have to sell their product. Otherwise, they're not going to make money. But the work is ours to know, like, do we really need them?
Yes.
How many supplements in the world right now? Tons, thousands.
Oh,
If
probably
you read
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I know. If you read about every supplement, you need them. But the thing is, they're in your body. Your body makes them, And yes, as I said, like there might be conditions that when you have to take them, yes. But on a daily basis, not really. So that's like to me, it's a big, big question right now.
Well, I think that begs to, different, like, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, different diets. I mean, if you're not getting your food in a certain way, it is encouraged that you're supplementing. And so does that bring up the question, is that a really good way of eating? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it a beneficial way of eating if you're having to add things into to be able to supplement what you're not getting from food?
Such a good point on that. It's a lot of people when they try to become like they don't eat certain food, but then for their body not to be depleted of the nutrients that they cannot get from certain food, they have to supplement. So the question is now, is that the right food you get it if you have to supplement the needed nutrients from like if you're not getting from food source, is that the right food for our body? So that's a very good point, actually.
Yeah.
Very good point.
I've just wondered that over the years, and part of that is I think from having different tons of resections. I'll just use myself as the guinea pig. With having so many different resections and other different body parts, especially missing in my digestive system, I found I do best if I get my nutrition mostly from food and not supplementing. I didn't used to think that way. I didn't realize putting the two and two together. But when you're someone who deals with malnutrition on a daily basis anyways, and sometimes it's like all day. I mean, you can have certain situations happen and you are completely depleted at it. What I used to do is I used to supplement with everything that I could think of. Now I just make sure that I eat the foods that contain what's needed, and then I don't have those episodes as much anymore. So that's partly why I was wondering and asking that question, because there's many of us that think that we can continue to eat this way, but then we're going to need to still supplement when we're like wondering, why are we not getting any better? Like I'm taking all this stuff, but why am I not getting any better? And it just doesn't make any sense. And really, if you come down to it, it's because of what you're putting in your body, like food wise. Food's fuel. food is medicine.
Right.
And if you're having to add still more stuff into that to be able to keep you at a good level, it's probably a good time to be questioning if things are still
Right.
working, if they should be that way.
Yeah. I know you recently came off some supplements and some meds even, right? If I'm
I
not
did.
mistaken, by changing your diet. So that's like a clear like a picture of changing your diet, you coming off unneeded sources. Number one, you stop spending tons of money on them, right? And
Mhm.
number two, it's better to put that money into the good quality of food choices that you have to make for yourself. So getting like more organic, natural, like grass-fed, grass-finished, whatever, like pasture-raised, whatever you consume, it's better to get highest quality you can get instead of spending the money on the supplement that they don't do half of the job what your body needs. Because we don't know how those like isolated form of stuff absorb in our body without needed enzymes. Because everything in our body is kind of work together in communication. Like well, let's say we eat an egg, okay? That egg contains so many different like nutrients in it. Protein, fat, the egg yolk full of choline and sulfur, selenium, whatever, right? So when you eat that egg, I believe that that egg was created in that compound, in that perfection of a nutrients level. When we eat them, like together in our body, they're creating something, that level of the nutrients that we need. But let's say like, okay, when people don't eat eggs and they don't eat like other source that contains selenium or choline is a big one that people are deficient on, for example, right? You supplement only choline, you supplement only selenium, for example, right? And
Yes.
then we're assuming that daily intake is this much. That's assumption, and that's at recommended dose is this much. But does it mean that that's what our body needs, or what is it? So, and then when we take that isolated form without other thing that usually comes together with, how does it breaks down in our what enzymes would get in action to digest and break down that single form of choline? How does our body react to that? That's the question I always ask. I better take like a couple of eggs, for example, and get needed source of nutrients than getting the supplements separately, like choline, separately selenium, separately zinc, separately whatever. Everything separately.
I'm chuckling because I'm going, that's chapter 3 in my anatomy physiology book.
Right. And then
Not one of
yeah,
those.
yeah. And the people like, let's say glutathione, saying glutathione, like if you're taking the glutathione, but you have no idea that selenium plays such a big role in the glutathione, like synthesis in our body. Iodine plays such a big role in the glutathione synthesis of our body. So, like if you can take glutathione, but if you're depleted in selenium and iodine and other, compounds,
Mhm.
are you doing yourself a favor? What are you doing to yourself?
You know,
So
you
just
bring
because it says there, yes, right?
it's just like it just makes me I'm thinking of all of the hormone issues and everybody, dealing with thyroid issues, and selenium is such a huge part of that, and how many of us are deficient in it? Like
Yeah,
really. So if we're
yeah,
eating the source in a whole food way,
right.
then we're
Yes.
probably not going to be as deficient, correct?
Right, right. People talk about macadamia nuts and selenium, high dose of selenium, but macadamia nuts contains polyphenols and phytic acid and oxalate that depletes actual selenium more from the body than it gives any.
Oh, can you go into that just a little bit more, both of you, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
We can go over if that's okay too.
No, we can. Yeah, we can go over that. We've been like brainwashed again, I would say, that nuts are good for us.
Mm.
You have to process the nuts right to be able for your body to digest it well. Nuts need to be soaked more than 12 hours. If you're not soaking your nuts, you can sprout your nuts. You're going to get at least a better digestive to better digest them, you know. But nuts and seeds and a lot of things, they do contain a very high level oxalate, you know. Oxalate actually could deplete the body from nutrients by 90%, especially in people who have digestive problems, because they don't contain microbiome that breaks down those oxalates in the body. So this is another thing, like, you know, like, okay, let's take this supplement, and then we're eating tons of nuts, tons of seeds, tons of this and tons of that, without realizing that we're not taking ourselves to a next level. We're not, you know. How's your body digesting them? How's your body breaking them down? How is it like, what do you exactly know what your microbiome needs? You know, what diversity you have. Are
Mhm.
the stuff you're eating, are you getting them, like, you know, is the food getting broken down? Are those supplements getting broken down in your body? You know, if you're taking supplements for more than 2 to 3 months and you're not getting to the place where you want to be at, it's a question to ask yourself. Should I stop? Should I continue? Which one should I stop? Which one should I continue? Why do I need them in the first place? What are they giving me? You know, every question needs to be asked before you just continue. You can, it's just a level of insanity. Keep taking the same thing but not getting the results. But because we're brainwashed that we need them, right? If we're not getting any result, why are we taking them?
Is that really good marketing?
It's a great marketing, I would say, right?
It's
Great
working for them.
marketing look. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Definitely
And-
working.
Well,
Yeah.
and you
Just
know, I
unfortunate.
think it does. There's a question you mentioned it earlier too. There's a time and a place for you know to take some of them. There's
Oh,
certain
yeah.
things that are you know herbs or plant medicines that are extremely beneficial in like a cancer situation.
That's why
Um,
they're here in this world, for us to
Yes.
use them when we need them. You know, that's a
Mhm.
reason. Yeah.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
just all the time, right?
Yeah. Especially plants are being so modified and cultivated.
Mm,
They're not the same plants they used to be. We don't even know the compounds of those plants anymore.
mm.
They've been sprayed. They've been like, I mean, even organic ones, they've been sprayed for bugs not to eat them. If bug cannot eat them, what makes you think that we can put it in our body? You know,
So
because
one of the
bugs are like a living creatures too. They're living organisms. They need those nutrients too. So if they cannot eat them, how can we take them?
right. And
Right?
if your body can't, like was going back to like glutathione, if you're not able to take glutathione either to an allergy or due to an allergy or medical condition or something like that, you can get that through your foods as well, and that's broccoli. These are the boosting the foods that you can get: onions, garlic, broccoli, and also and acetyl NAC. And
NAC, yeah.
acetylcysteine, right? There's another one that can help if
Temporary
not,
though. That
you
would
know.
be temporary. NAC would be temporary because like if you take NAC more than 2 weeks, you're gonna get backfire. Number one, like I think like people have to know why their body is not making glutathione. What's
Mm.
wrong with the liver?
Well, that's another thing. So NAC
Yeah.
also is not, you'd have to be talking to a healthcare provider as you're doing
Yeah,
that, because it's like kind of like
exactly.
it's taking another supplement, so
Right.
always be careful with that. But if you've got onions, garlic, broccoli, those are spinach, those are all very, very good natural glutathione boosters for your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take those if you can't take them.
So get it from
Yeah.
the whole food source instead of.
Mhm.
We were
It's
talking about
amazing, yeah.
that separately, like just how so there's certain people with certain conditions that you really shouldn't take glutathione, or there's certain people that are extremely deficient in it because of their conditions that should
Right.
really benefit more from a whole food form. So that way they can actually their
Right.
body is breaking it down
Right.
and using it
So
in the
instead
best way form.
of grabbing that apple, grab an onion. No.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't mind
Well,
them.
look, look,
I know I said that kind of in jest, but it's true. Actually, biting into an onion is actually pretty good.
but if you clearly think about it, just logical thinking, right? The precursors for glutathione are cysteine, glycine, and glutamate. So those are 3 amino acids. Where they're coming from? The main source of those things are coming from animal products, because plant does not contain cysteine, I believe so. So that's number one. Number two, for glutathione, for example, like selenium helps to utilize glutathione, right? And then selenium, without selenium, glutathione is not going to neutralize hydrogen peroxide in the body. Okay, where the selenium is, like the highest level of selenium are in eggs and red meat again. So just logical thinking, where do you have to get your source for your body to make that glutathione? Okay, so yes, so it's just the logical thinking. That's what I think that people have to understand. It's hard, of course, for many people to go and kind of dive into and check those sources, like, okay, what's a precursor for glutathione or precursor for NAC, or other things, but I think it's worth your health to do those at least to do some research before you go and jump in and buy the supplement.
Exactly.
You
Well,
know,
I mean,
don't
like,
don't
we
let
could
someone
talk.
else to do the research for you and tell you what to do, what not to do on your body. Because those are
Exactly.
all general researches. What you take that's what your body needs, right?
Mhm.
So I mean
And
that's what
it can be very overwhelming. And I,
yeah.
when I said earlier about, your anatomy physiology book and everyone should have one, truly, seriously, we
Yeah.
don't get this. We don't get, unless you're going to be a chemist, biologist, microbiologist, or however, whatever that, you don't get that. You don't get that in depth. And it's overwhelming. It's so far over, some people's heads that they're just like, I don't know. Just give me a supplement. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So education is absolutely paramount. And I think I'm going to do some research on that. Some of the real basic books about basic nutrients, basic, biology, beginning, whatever. That is really, really important if you're interested in learning about all of that and everything that was talked about today, and really taking a deep dive into those things that affect our bodies. Our, this is all we have, and this is all we're given. So, to really take really good care of it. Sometimes we don't realize that, obviously, until we're much later, or we're given, a diagnosis that, heaven forbid, that you receive a diagnosis that requires you to completely change your life altogether. But sometimes that's a wake up call and a blessing. So
Mhm.
take that for whatever it's worth. And, but definitely really start looking at those things, and do your due diligence when we say,
Right.
yeah, do the research, do the studying, do that, because
Yeah,
it's really, really important, very
Yeah.
important.
it is.
Right.
There's one thing that I want to mention because we kind of touched on it, but not. But this is where I think it's really important that if you are going to supplement, it probably should do some genetic testing to make sure that you don't have certain gene mutations. So we'll
But
point out the MTHFR gene mutation for one. So if you're actually taking the regular, I call it the regular because it's just like all across the board folate and vitamin B12, your body is not going to, it actually causes more harm. It'll start harming
yes.
your body if you're
Yes.
actually taking that, even in a multivitamin, whether it's fortified by food. If you don't know that you have that gene mutation, you could actually be harming yourself by taking supplements instead of knowing for sure what you need to take. But also, the best source of that is in red meat, it's in animal meat to be able to
Right.
get that methylation. Um, to be able for your body
Methylated
to be able to
following,
use
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. There's that's such a good point. Like, for people, the reason many people have a genetic mutation is due to, environmental and, you know, daily toxicities like dietary and other toxicities. So, and it's like science have been showing that you can manipulate your genes. You can, you can play in terms of when you change your life and you change your diet, your genes goes dormant. They don't act as much as they would act when they've been exposed to, toxins and stuff. So I think that's the biggest reason why our genes mutates, because we exposed them to so many new things past 100 years, that the humanity past 150 years been exposed to such a thing that we never experienced for a million years in our life, just because we start creating and we become smarter and we start creating tons of stuff that, man-made stuff instead of like what was given to us, from nature. And the other thing is, like, I want to point out, if you're taking supplement and you're experiencing headache, fatigue, nausea, I don't know, like, whatever symptoms you're experiencing, you have to stop. You have to slow down. There's something your body is not happy with. That's why it's giving you all the symptoms, fatigue or nausea. I know people, like when they go, I know personal people from my clients when they go for glutathione IV shots, they get sick from it, you know, but they don't even know if that could relate to glutathione. They get like fatigue, they get headaches, they get like vomiting, you know, abdominal pain, and they cannot relate that to glutathione, for example. That's why it's like before you decide to go there for that high level of vitamin C, your body will take, I know it's therapeutic, you can do it maybe a couple of times, but your body will take that level of vitamin C, whatever it needs. Number one. Number two, vitamin C, the transporter is same as a glucose transporter. So if you're diabetic, that vitamin C, your body is gonna take glucose over vitamin C. That transporter, GLUT4, would take glucose over vitamin C. Why? Because glucose is source of energy, and your body would have to use it as a source of energy, and it would do that because our body would prioritize what do we have to take first. And that excess vitamin C has to go somewhere. And where does it goes to? It's converted to oxalic acid. What is oxalic acid? Oxalate gets built up as stones in the kidneys and other parts.
Kidneys.
Right?
Our
So
friend kidney
just
stones.
like, okay, just we were told, I hear that from the clients. I'm scheduling myself for high vitamin C, high glutathione IVs, and blah blah blah. Are you working with someone? No. So if you're not working with someone who knows the work, I actually have a client a couple of weeks ago who called me. He said that, Maya, I need your opinion on this one. My naturopathic doctor is forcing me to get a glutathione IV. I had couple and I don't feel good. What should I do? He's keep forcing me that I need one. What do you think that I should do? I'm like, I don't know. That's
Tell them
between you and
no
your
and say, I think
doctor.
I need to take
But
a look at that.
exactly, I said, look
Advocate for
how you
yourself.
feel. Tell your
Yeah.
doctor how you feel because your body is telling you. Literally, I had that text message. She goes like, I don't feel good after glutathione IV. So what should I do? And he doesn't want to listen to me. Well, it's not up to the doctor. You have to tell the doctor what you feel. If the doctor doesn't want to listen to you, he's not your doctor then. You know, that you have to go to the doctor who would listen to you, right?
Y-
So that's what
It's true. And if it is so true, and because they are working for you, and if it's not working for you, then there's a problem, and there's no reason why you should accept that. And I think that's
right.
the thing is like we feel we're forced to, we have to accept that there are no other alternatives. That's it. And they're not giving me any other options. There's always options out there.
Mhm.
Just look for them. Go to another, naturopath or herbalist or whoever it was that was, telling you those things and stuff like that, or maybe it's just your regular doctor. But
Yeah.
in any case, it's not wrong to question. It's not wrong to be curious,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
if it's a problem and you don't feel comfortable saying that, just approach it that way. Hey, I'm curious about this. I'm feeling this way.
Mhm.
Is there another option?
Right.
Just curious
Yeah.
if if there is one. And hopefully they would say, I'm not sure, but I will look into it and get back to you. And hopefully that they
Right.
do that. But at
Right.
least they're listening at that point, I think, a little bit. And hopefully you get
Yeah.
a response.
We we have lived million years without supplements. And we came to this like under the kind of assumption that we cannot survive without them anymore. For the past like 60, 70 years, like we cannot survive without
Yeah.
But really,
supplements.
it's because our
When we
diets
lived
changed.
million years, when we
It's
lived million years, like that's
it's
what
a
I said.
different
It's
time
not the
now.
supplements. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to look more deeper into the picture,
And what's interesting is what is that going to look like, 5 years from now, 3, 5, 10 years from now? What is there going to, what is that going to look like? I'm really curious to know what that will be like. I
Yeah.
mean, is
Yeah.
it really just going to be a matter of getting on a conveyor belt and they're just gonna,
Yeah.
you know,
I
get you
think
full of
that's
whatever it is that you need, and they shoot you out the other end, and good to
yeah.
go. And I don't know. It's
I think
scary.
it's scary if we're
Yeah.
not gonna become curious about everything. I think that's what the things are gonna go to, unfortunately,
But the one thing that is always a constant is basic biology.
Mhm.
Your body does not change. Everything around us does, but we don't.
Yeah,
We were made a certain way, every one of us, and how things affect us. It really, I think, a lot is our environment. So from how things affect me is going to be different from somebody who lives in England,
right.
Africa,
Yeah.
Italy, wherever the case may be, and but we all
Oops.
Oh,
I think
we all have cells, we all have membranes, we all have
yeah.
that work the same way or should be working the same.
We can
Good
adopt.
conversation.
Yeah, great conversation. We can adopt, adjust, but that takes years.
We're adaptable.
Yeah, we're adaptable, but it would take for our body internally to change and to adapt to those new things. It goes it would take 1,000 years probably for us to take this supplement, and 1,000 years from now we will know how do they affect our biology. But right now we won't be able to say much about them.
And don't be afraid of change when we talk about diet, updating or changing your diet for lifestyle and for the good. Your body does go through some changes. You may experience this, that it's a detoxing, it's a whatever, but your body will. But in the end, your body is adjusting and it's regulating to probably happy dance in there going, oh my gosh, I actually got a carrot today, or actually I got, wow, there's that apple and there's this broccoli and there's, huge difference. It'd be really interesting to see, even if you just tried it for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
A 4-week whole food eating challenge and see what happens.
It's so interesting that you're bringing that up. I was talking to somebody yesterday actually about how, they get a hard time about eating healthy and eating whole foods. And it's like, why are you getting a hard time about it when this is what we're supposed to be eating? This is why we're not sick. Why people are not sick, because they're eating whole foods, not the other way around. It's like the processed foods, the ultra processed foods, the man-made stuff, everything you can find in the package, alcohol, whatever. That's all acceptable, but going toward the whole food, back to what we're really supposed to be eating is questionable.
Yep.
And to me, that
and isn't it sad that we have to? Yeah. And isn't it sad that we have to say, oh, back in the day when we made things from scratch, back in the day, I'm like, goodness,
exactly.
And really, that's the way that we're supposed to be eating. The way we're eating is not natural.
Yep.
Right.
It's not natural.
We forgot how to use food as a source of nutrition. We use food as a pleasure nowadays, and that's the biggest mistake that we're making.
Yes, we do, and as a stressor. Okay.
As a stressor, yeah. We should stop eating food.
I'm not reaching for that apple.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, you mean chocolate? I'm sorry.
Oh, I love chocolate. Chocolate is hard for me to give away.
It's like, well, there's a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Well, there is great nutrition, and it does have wonderful properties to it. But I guess maybe it's in moderation.
It's high in oxalate, though. It's very high in oxalate.
Okay. All right.
Anyhow,
maybe just one a day.
Yeah, once in a while I would. It's not like none of us is perfect. None of us perfect, right?
No.
We do cheat, we do different things, but we know we know when to stop, and
that brings up a really good point, though, Maya, is listening to your body.
Yeah, we know when to stop, and of course, under any circumstance, I'm not gonna eat any junk food at all. It doesn't matter how appealing to me it is, and those cakes or whatever, I won't touch those. When I talk about cheating, I mean like fruit, ice cream, it's like something like a little bit of ice cream, but natural, that's a scoop of ice cream. For example, once every 6 months I might have it, but other than that, so it's just it's a decision people make for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and really it's a mindset change. It's that mindset shift, and then also telling yourself that you don't need the next newest supplement that's out there. Now, there's, like we were talking about, there are really great ones to be able to help in your certain situations, but they're not meant to be taken for extended periods of time, only when you actually need them.
No. Yeah, it's not like I don't take ashwagandha. I have ashwagandha at home, but when I know, when I would wake up and I cannot fall asleep in the middle, I would take one. And it would help me, but I never take it every single day. I never do. Like
Yeah.
I would just take it if I need it. I do have L-theanine sitting on my like thing. If I can fellowship, I would take it. But I might take it once every 3 months or so, but I never ever on a daily basis. Right? So that's like we have to know they are not for us to take them every single day. We were told we have to take them every single day. But that would be because we are 6 minutes past the hour.
Yeah, I
Oh.
know. So it was a
Yeah.
great conversation.
Yes.
Great conversation. We
Yeah.
could talk forever.
It was a very nice
We don't
conversation.
have a problem talking, in case anybody didn't notice.
Yeah, right.
We do
That is
that
so
pretty
true.
good.
Yeah. This is our
Uh.
third time meeting today. Yeah, we can talk more,
We
right?
probably could.
Right.
Well, let
different
me turn
calls.
off the restream.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you for
Yeah, it's
joining
very
us.
nice. Thank you for joining.